Hello there. Today is June 5th, I believe, and it's a nice sunny day. So I thought I'd give you a tour of the garden for June and let me know what you think. Alright, let's go. Alrighty, here we are at the garden. I'll give you a rundown of what's in each row and yeah, we'll go from there. Alright, these first two rows were kind of my trial rows. They're beet and carrot. I don't think anything has come up yet, and I'm not too confident that it will. These were planted when it was probably way too wet and the soil was way too coarse. It's very clay soil, so it just left big chunks. So those are kind of a wash. The next row here I think these are white onion. This is about, I don't know, 25, 30 foot, it's probably about a 30-foot row. And those have come up very nice. The next two rows are my Chieftain potatoes. They have started coming up just the other day. Every day I find more sprouts, and that's great. Potato sprout looks like that. They're very distinguishable. They come up exactly like that in a nice tight cluster. And I believe as of yesterday there's about maybe 6 or 8 sprouts that have come up. Back here, these first two plants are eggplant, and the rest are this is my tomato row. I'd say there's probably, I don't know, 25 to 30 plants, spaced about, I don't know, 3 feet apart. They range from cherry tomatoes to lemon tomatoes to Roma to beefsteak to your normal early girl tomato. So we should get some good production out of that. Alright, and this is my pepper row. I have some here that are red. I have some lemon, or not lemon, they're called them yellow, and the rest are your green bell peppers. I have some chili peppers, which are the ones right in the front here. Chili peppers, banana chilies. So it'll be interesting to see what they're all about. My next two rows, which have come up, the first one is my yellow bush beans, and they've come up quite nicely. And the row right next to it are what are they called? Blue Lake pole beans, which those have come up nicely as well. As you see down the row, each of these rows are 150 foot long. Each one of these rows from here on out are going to be roughly 150 foot long. So we move down the row. Here is another row of Blue Lake pole beans. Those have not come up yet. They were planted about a week after these, so I'm anticipating they're coming up any day now, actually. The next row here is Super Sugar Snap Pea. Say that 3 times fast. I had luck with growing snap peas as a kid, 10, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, so I'm going to give it a shot here. The next row we go down is my cucumber row. There are 3 different kinds here. There's Tasty Green, there's Calypso, and there's Marketmore 76. Each one is a different variety. One is a burpless cucumber, which I believe the first ones are. The next one is just your normal slicing cucumber, and then the last row, I may have these mixed up, I apologize, but then the next row, or the next section, is your pickling cucumber. But these, the ones all the way at the end, which I will show you once we get down there, they have started coming up. These are the cucumbers that have come up. And then the next 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these are all my sweet corn rows. And these go for roughly 100 foot down there to those bottom, or to the middle stakes. When you plant corn, you have to plant in a block. You can't just plant 2 rows of 150 foot, because they wind pollinate, so you need a block of them. I probably should have did maybe 8 or 10 blocks of about maybe 75 foot, but this is the way that the garden worked out this year. And again, this is my first year, so it is all trial and error. But I'm still confident that we'll get some production out of this, some yield. Okay, and then we move down to the next 4 rows, which aren't technically rows, but as you can see, as I was saying before, that as I got down to the bottom of the garden, things started working out a lot better. The soil's a lot better. It was worked up and tilled a lot better because it was drier. And I did make these rows. They're not really rows. I just ran the tractor down through them just so I get some sort of pathway and an easy way to mark the rows. Okay, now these plants here, between each set of stakes is a particular variety of a particular kind. The first section in here, which go from those stakes all the way to these are all my melon. All my melons. I have watermelon, honeydew, cantaloupe. The melons that I have, the cantaloupe ones, it's a summer of melon blend. So supposedly there are multiple kinds that mature. Some mature early, some mature late. So I'm really anxious to see how they produce. But those have only been planted a few days ago, so they're not up. As we continue down, we have some multiple varieties of pumpkin. That's what all the rest of these stakes and all these the brown mounds, those are pumpkin. I have your normal big pumpkin. I have some white pumpkin. I have some a baby jack mix, which are similar to gourds, but they're actually pumpkins that you could eat. And I have a baby Pam mix of pumpkin, which is a great cooking and baking pumpkin. So I'm anxious to see how they come out. Each pumpkin and each melon, they're probably planted maybe 4 to 5 seeds per patch here. I didn't have anything to make it technically a hill, so for this year they're just planted this way. Next year, I have some designs in the works of building something on the cheap, which I will show you next year if everything turns out well this year. But anyway, for each section there's about 4 to 5 seeds, and I'll probably be thinning that out to 1 to probably 2 seeds per bunch. Okay, now we're down here. I know the video is getting quite long, but this is the bottom section of the garden. Things are kind of spread out, but that's just the way it turned out. Okay, these 2 rows here, sorry for the shadow of myself, these 2 rows and partial of the bottom row of the 3rd row, which would be 1, 2, and then the bottom portion, those are the rest of my onion. So these rows here are roughly, I don't know, 40 some odd feet. So you're probably looking at around another 100 foot, give or take, of onion, which would be great. I've already started seeing some of these onion come up. I believe I counted maybe 1 or 2 that are just poking their heads through. But I'm confident that the ones that I planted, which are the ones that were good out of the packages that I bought, the sets that I bought, will produce. And then right next to the onion, the rest of the 1 row, and this row here, if you can see it, those are more yellow bush beans. I had some left in the package and I had some more space, and I figured, hey, might as well plant them. It'll help increase my yield chance. Okay, then we move down to these 2 rows here. I don't expect these to germinate for quite a while. These are more rows of carrot, because the ones that I showed you up at the top, if you remember that earlier in the video, that I don't think anything's going to happen with those. It's because when they were planted too early and everything was too wet. But these here are planted hopefully a little bit more on the dry side or the right time, and everything works out well. As we move down from that, we have 1 and then a small half row here, roughly probably, I don't know, 55 feet or something like that, of Swiss chard. That's something I've never grown before, even as a kid, 20 some odd years ago. I've never grown that, but I'm anxious to see what it's all about. And then I have 1 row here. This is just a single row, and that is another row of cucumber. I had some cucumber of 1 variety left over, so I figured plant them. I have the space. Instead, it'll just be covered up by weeds. And then these 2 final rows are gourds. They're crown of thorn, and then just a small professional mix is what it's called. So there's various kinds, various types, various sizes. I'm really anxious to see how they produce. Okay, we're back up to the top of the garden, if you can remember where we're at, the tomato and pepper row with the onions and the potatoes. At the end of these rows, These are all of my summer squash. Your various, yellow zucchini, your green zucchini, or I guess the green ones are the only ones that are actually considered zucchini. But it's all summer squash. I got some of the starburst, the ones that look like spaceships. So I'm real interested in seeing how they produce. None of those have come up yet, and those were planted at the same time. The second and third, the second row of pole beans and the peas are planted. Again, the soil, you can see how big and crumbly, or not, how non-crumbly it is, how big it is. And these again were planted when it was a little wet, but I'm still confident that they will sprout. And then finally, right along here are my broccoli and my cauliflower. I think I got about 12 broccoli and I got 6 cauliflower. So these plants are doing really well. These are planted roughly 2 weeks ago, and they're at least doubled in size from when I had them in a small 6-cell pack. So that's my garden. This is the June, I guess you consider the June field trip. I will be having another field trip of the garden in probably 2 weeks, possibly even next week, depends on how much things are growing. So yeah, please let me know what you think. Well, that was the tour. Hopefully you liked it. Everything is in their preliminary, most things pre-emerge state. Just that a bit. Hopefully within a week or two everything is up. If the seeds aren't up within 2 weeks, they're probably not going to come up. There are very few things that take longer than 2 to 3 weeks, which is 14 to 21 days. There are very few things that that your normal home gardener would produce that would take that long to germinate. Most things take around, roughly, 6 to 10 days, if the conditions are right. But anyway, that was the tour for June. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in how I made my rows, or how I planted this, that, or the other thing, or the brand or the variety of a particular plant, please let me know. I saved all the seed packets. I have all the tomato tags and the pepper tags and broccoli tags and cauliflower and everything. So I have all that stuff. Just that way I can answer your guys' questions if you have any, as well as to give myself heads up about what grows and what doesn't grow, so I can keep it for next year, or order more for next year. So for the farm, that's everything, and please leave comments below, and always, thanks for watching.